So, hello, my name's Avril Murrin, and I'm here representing Healing with Coherence and to highlight the self-sufficiency aspect of people having and using coMra therapy in their lives. And I've invited Philippe and Divine here today to join me in this shared conversation. Well, actually, I'll say first, we have a shared value of striving for self-sufficiency in certain areas of our lives. So that was the inspiration or catalyst for today's talk. So just to introduce Philippe and Divine, and also how myself and my husband Garrett know them. So Garrett met Philippe back in 2006 or 7 in Spain at a retreat. And at that time, we all lived in separate countries. Garrett and I were in Canada. Philippe was in Korea. And for many years, we actually haven't lived in the same city, but we've always stayed connected. But then around 2016 or 2017, I think it was, we ended up living in Vancouver at the same time. And Garrett and I actually stayed with Philippe and lived there for a little while. And this is when we met Divine. This was early on in your relationship, Philippe and Divine. And then, yeah, we all lived in Vancouver, but separate places for a while. And then to segue into the next aspect of focusing on you and where you're living, when the COVID times started, which is how I refer to them, COVID times, because there's so much that transpired and went on during that time. Yeah, I mean, we were in contact then. We saw each other sometimes as well. Felt the same way about certain things going on. And lots of people during that time, there was lots of change happening, and lots of people wanted to purposely make change because they didn't know what was going on with the world. And lots of people, like for this change, a lot of people ended up moving out of the city, actually. They wanted to move out of the city, do something new, live on the land. This was just something, it was like this mass movement that went on, and you could see it in sales of land and construction, and all this stuff was coming out. And you two were two people that decided to do this. Myself and Garrett, we tried this out a little bit by living with somebody on their land for a while, our friend Jane. But you two actually decided to go for it and looked for land. And it was 2020, I believe, is when you actually bought the land. And then you were going back and forth from the city for a while to get yourself set up. And then finally in 2021, you took your last trip from the city, with all the rest of your belongings, and there you were finally. And that's in one of your videos there. While you're there, to introduce your channels, you have This Is Our Life Off Grid. I believe that's your Instagram. And then you have Off Grid with Philippe and Divine, and with Heart Wide Open. Those are your 3 channels, correct? So
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So and you're highlighting your lives, and also Philippe, your life in the past as well, your life in Korea, and all your transformations over the years.
Yes.
So welcome, and thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for joining with me today. Yeah, and you've been there for a few years now, which is amazing, and really achieved so much when I look at everything you've built, and all the gardening, all the work that you do, all the challenges you've been through. It's quite something. I just want to kind of start to go back to the time that you decided to leave. There were many aspects of what unfolded around COVID that catalyzed you to make your move. But what would you say was the underlying theme, or kind of the true purpose, like kind of a deeper purpose or something that you felt in your heart? Like, what was it beyond those face value aspects of COVID that got you to decide to make this big move? Because it's a big move, it's a big decision.
What? It's all me. Well, well,
He's the main decision maker at the time, I think.
we were already watching a lot of YouTube videos on people who were doing that. And one thing that became clear to us is that everybody had different reasons for doing that move. And the people that seemed to have a bigger drive. They were not doing it to escape the insanity of COVID. They were doing it because they wanted to be self-sufficient. And that's kind of what we felt as well. And we just made it happen. We decided, because every weekend we were escaping camping in our truck camper to be out of the city and that craziness. And then one day we, on the driving back home, we decided that we were going to do this. And it didn't turn out the way we thought it was going to when we made that decision, but we're very happy the way things did end up turning out.
Oh, like the land and everything didn't turn out the way you thought, or
Well,
the
like the first land that was near Jane's, like
right.
it was very romantic idea of being
Mm.
there, but it it didn't happen very early on. And after that, I frantically like look for properties, and every weekend we were going to see several properties until we found this one and we made the offer and we had it.
No, at first we didn't want something that doesn't have
Oh
any
yeah.
cabin on it. We want something that has a structure, like less work and all that. But then, things change and it didn't really work out. So we decided, okay, why not?
We
Yeah.
Even though it's a lot of work, like
oh,
I was scared that, oh my God, like how are we even gonna start? Just by looking at the land without nothing on it, like
Oh yeah.
that feeling.
we even made an offer on Curtis Stone's property where he lives now.
Oh,
Oh,
that's right. Yeah. That
yeah,
one's
Yeah,
a
that's
bit
yeah.
what
more
that's
difficult.
what we really like, that one.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out, so we're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm really happy that we are here and not at that place, even though it brought some different challenges. But I really like the fact that we have 160 acres and that it's crown land on all sides of the property. So we will never have any neighbors uh, around our property.
Except for the wild animals, I guess.
Yes, yes. But the wild animals, I tell you, I'm trying to find them. I see their tracks, but I don't see them when it's hunting season. So,
Yeah. I guess they're used to staying away from the humans and being on their own, especially with so much open land up there. So,
well,
but yeah.
maybe they're used to staying away from me because other hunters have killed animals like meters away from the property.
Okay. Well, I'm sure just like everything else, it's a huge learning process, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then with the land you ended up with, it's whatever's meant to happen is going to happen, and whatever's not supposed to happen is not going to happen. So meant to be, definitely. And you can see that more and more as the years have progressed here for where you've gotten to and how things have opened up for you. So I think it's great. So you shared already about the self-sufficiency aspect, and is there anything else that, now that you're there and you're doing it, is there anything else that you want to share about what inspires you about being self-sustainable, living off grid? What are the things that you enjoy and you're inspired by every day?
But for me, I mean, it's the challenge. It's like, can
Yeah.
we do it? And how far can we go? And discovering that is like very, very motivating. And everything is always new, but the more we move forward, then there's steps, and I'd like to get to the step where I'm gonna be able to do more gardening and things like that, or have other animals. But I'm not at that step yet because I still have infrastructure to build and skills to acquire. So it's a long process, but that's what makes it kind of like motivating and inspiring is we are going in that direction, and every day is new, and we learn all the time.
Nice.
The opposite for me.
uh,
No, kidding. I wanted to garden, but then I want to build my own structure. Actually, no, I've been telling him, oh, I want to build this, things like that, like, because I see him all the time building, and I want to be able, there's a lot of women on YouTube that builds their own house, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to build a house, but I want to build something where I can say, oh, I built that.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I guess that's right, because we each have our roles, so we're really working together. Like we wouldn't be able to do that each on our own. We are able to have this because we work together, and as things progress, maybe I'll be able to divert more to different kind of activities, but so will Divine.
Complimentary. Yeah, for sure. Very nice. And then to talk about self-sufficiency again, how would you define self-sufficiency? What would be kind of your definition or description of it, and how important is it to you both?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna reach that point where we're gonna be self-sufficient one day. It's just impossible, especially in this day and age.
Mm.
There's still a lot of things that you have to rely on from the store, from the government. It's just impossible. But for us, we're trying to just, you know, um, lower down or reduce the independency that we have with the government or the commercial establishments or stores or whatnot, right? So we are doing our best to grow our own food because the cost right now is insane.
Oh
And
yeah.
by that, we don't have to spend a lot of money by going to the store. And for trees, Philip can start milling our own trees for building next year. um the other things too, machines, we don't have to pay somebody to do some work. We now have an excavator that could help us with a lot of builds in the future and all that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna reach that point where we're gonna be self-sufficient. I think at least 75%, but not fully. But we're gonna do our best, not to be, to be dependent with the government.
Okay.
Like the YouTube channel Gridlessness, Jeff, the guy that's in that channel, has developed a scale to determine how uh, self-sufficient you are.
Hmm.
It's got a few episodes on
Yeah.
that, and that is pretty good. So, because true self-sufficiency is really more, we would need more people to work with,
Yeah, community.
like a community. And for me, like, it's not, I don't really care about the degree. I just want to make sure that when we want something, we have it, and we don't need somebody to have it. And I cannot trust the food that they sell to us in the grocery stores. Most of those foods have poison in them.
Yeah, there's not very much when you go and look and you're actually looking at
Yes,
that, so that things aren't in there. You have to look at all the ingredients of everything you're buying pretty much.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
so processed and all that, that I didn't think like that, before we moved here. And even that's more recent that I'm thinking like that. But when I think about all the food I ate growing up, it's like it's not good, and so I'm really happy that we eat more like fresh and real food. So that's very important for us.
Yeah, it's funny that we have to call it real food, hey?
Yes.
And then what is real? Because then with all the marketing too, they use words like that, real, natural, and then you look and that doesn't even mean anything on a lot of the things. You have to just, yeah, you have to learn, and that's part of the self-sufficiency even, is learning how to actually look at ingredients and understand what some of the things are at least, and to know that, so you can understand what you're eating, what you're buying and investing in, right?
I recently saw a meme. So they have health section in the grocery store.
Right.
So what does it mean about the other section?
Exactly. And then even within that section, it's kind of crazy.
Exactly. When I think about self-sufficiency, I think about the pioneers that opened up the Great West, that move, like these people, they were really self-sufficient. They provided and they survived on what they had and what they knew how to do, the skills they had and the materials they had.
Well, there's a lot of self-sufficient people or families in the world, third world countries
Yeah.
that lives like that, and it's amazing what they do. But for you, like if you compare yourself
Yeah.
where they are, it's just not comparable. You
Yeah.
cannot do what they're doing unless you've been doing it all your life. But yeah, like it's just amazing. But I don't think I can do that. So, but
Yeah, with
maybe,
all the advances and
yeah,
development, it's we've
yeah,
ended up
yeah,
living that way, and this is how we've grown up and learned how to live our lives. So
yeah,
that's what we do. But if you don't have that, then yeah, naturally it's gonna
yeah.
you just do what you've always done. And
Mm-hmm.
so some of the areas for yourselves that you are self-sufficient with on your land, what would you say those are? Just to name a few things that you feel, not that you would never need this, like to leave the land, or you would never need any support from outside, but then like what do you feel kind of most secure with there that you do have?
Well, chickens are amazing animals. I love them. They keep on giving and they don't ask much. It's just unbelievable. And I think that's even something everybody could do, apart from the government putting regulations on what you can do on your own property. Then you need to ask yourself if you really own your property.
Right.
But anyway, that's another topic. But yeah, so and
Firewood,
firewood, yes, we don't need to pay for heat and building material to a
water,
certain extent. The well,
yeah,
the well was like, this is like, it cost a lot of money, but it it's
it
just
paid
like
itself.
it's just like this. It's amazing, and for the growing the food, the type of soil we have and the climate we have is a little bit more complicated. But we're learning, and we're every year we have more knowledge and more success. So how far that's gonna go, we don't know yet.
Okay. And what do you do about your health out there? I mean, for me, like I'm living in the city, but the self-sufficiency for me has always been focused around health, and came from like me wanting to be self-sufficient with my health, came from seeing all the bad food, and seeing the health system and everything being corrupt and like falling apart, as far as I can tell, not being effective and really helping people to be healthy. So this is where I've been focused for health, and how I started working with coMra therapy and healing with coherence. So I've done some stuff with the food over the years with gardening and things like that. But yeah, the health has been. So how is it for your health out there?
Well, our health, we try to eat better, to stay healthy, because it's very important to be healthy here. If either of us gets incapacitated, it will offset the balance of us working together. So just an example with the firewood, Divine isn't really skilled or ready to split the wood. So, and right now we have wood that's stored, but it's not split. So if I get incapacitated and I can't split it, we're gonna need to find a solution for that, because Divine won't be able to take care of that. But um, in terms of like accidents and stuff like that, then we've had accidents in the past, but we haven't had to call 911 or to go to a doctor immediately because we had our coMra therapy. Like one time we had to go, like I cut myself with the chainsaw, but I mean, I needed stitches, so coMra won't like get the skin to come back together when it's that big. But it did make a difference on how long it took for it to heal. And I didn't have to go to the doctor to remove the staples. I insisted to get the stapler. Oh no, we bought it on Amazon. And
Stapler remover.
yes, so I removed my own staples because we didn't want to go to the doctor. But Divine, maybe you can talk about your accident.
The first accident when we just moved here, when I burned myself. I fell on the wood stove.
Oh,
my arm.
Were you drunk?
I was standing on a stool. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was arranging the plants that I brought from the city here. And then I fell and I was out of balance. And I think I used my arm to
break your phone.
To
catch yourself.
Yeah. So, but then I forgot that the wood stove is like, has been hot for like a long time. So then my whole arm was burned, and the burning sensation after a few minutes. But during that time I was I had the laser on me for like almost 40 minutes nonstop.
Okay.
A lot with the pain.
Nice.
We took the laser out right away because I knew from past experiences with burn that the sooner you apply the laser on the burn after it occurs, the greater the effect is. So, and then we were waiting to see if because it was middle February, like the stove was hot because it was cold outside,
Yeah.
And but we are like an hour and a half away from the closest hospital, but there's no guarantee that we can go to that hospital now because the emergency service are often closed several times a week.
Wow.
Because they have staff to run the hospital.
Wow.
So but anyway, we didn't go, but I think 2 days later Divine wanted to make sure, even though the healing had already started and it was looking good, but just to be sure. And then we went, and there was nothing the doctor could do because it was already healing,
Okay.
Yeah. And for me, I have a heart arrhythmia condition that I'm living with for a long time. And I've learned after getting coMra therapy in my life that it can actually make a big difference. And so I use that to treat my heart daily. And I also have to, watch out for what I eat. And it's discovering how this happens. But the support I get from coMra therapy is like, I can see that it's keeping me alive. That's
nice.
How much I swear by it.
So it's definitely a big part of big aspect of self-sufficiency there for sure. And I mean, even for me living in the city, like that's the biggest thing for me with coMra is the self-sufficiency, because I don't particularly enjoy going to doctors. So if I don't need to, I like to be able to do what I can with coMra therapy, with herbs, with the food, of course, is the baseline all the time. So yeah, that's the main focus for me with it, and the main thing that inspired me with it. And the actual, like the inception of coMra therapy, like part of the inception was based on people being able to be more self-sufficient with their health. And that was a kind of the main thing that called to my heart when I started working with it. How many years ago now? 14 or 15 years ago. Yeah. So it's remained very important to me to have that in my life.
For us, it's essential because we, first of all, I cannot trust any doctor, no matter how good looking or
Good
smiley
looking.
or, do you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
cannot trust any of them. Their credibility has been blasted completely, their intention, integrity, no way. I cannot trust any of them. And I my health is it's my life, it's not their life. So added to the fact that we're so far away from any of them, we have to be able to, it's like we're in space, it's like we're an astronaut on a journey to Jupiter. You can't bring all the known medicine to man in case you have a condition happening on your journey. So we have coMra that will take care of everything for us.
Yeah.
And if we die, we die. I mean, nobody has ever lived forever.
Yeah, you're not going to stop that from happening, but
Yeah.
there's
Yes.
a lot we can do to keep the
Yeah.
body healthy and feeling better. And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, everything. I mean, I've done even smaller burns. It's still very painful and bothersome. So, I mean, I've treated burns, cuts, other injuries, and we've traveled a lot as well. So, traveled abroad and to not have to go find some hospital or doctor in a foreign country, it's been a huge relief.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've had, some gut issues. I have plantar fasciitis right now that I'm treating, and all this time I can't even remember when I've been to a doctor. And even if I needed to go, I'd still be using it. So, um, yeah, because even if I had to go and I needed to find out something that was like a diagnosis or something, okay, that's good. And then, all right, now I'm going to use coMra therapy and herbs, food to look after that. So you shared about some of your injuries that you've treated, and that you also use it for your heart, Philippe. And so is there anything else that you've used it for? And I know that I know that you use it on your animals as well, your pets. And did you want to share maybe a couple other examples of what you've used it on there?
Headaches.
Yes.
When there's headaches, I
Oh,
experience
headaches.
headaches. Yeah, migraines.
And for the dogs, we do. But with the dogs, it's a little bit more complicated. So, for example, Raven, who anytime he has like a scratch or something, he will lick himself to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that when I treat the lesion with the laser, I can see that it heals very quickly. But it makes no difference if 2 days later he licks it again, because it goes back to square one. So often it's not always possible to treat them, because preventing them to get to the injury is actually more important. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because if I treat him and I spend like 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, and I do that for 3 days, and then on the fourth day he licks and it goes back to square one, then I wasted all that time to help him.
Yeah, so there's only so much you can do with them if yeah.
That's right. Yes. But other, like when Baguette had cancer, I was treating him. I knew it was a lost cause, but I took the time to do it because I felt that it was giving him like some peace of mind, or it was
Some comfort. Yeah.
yeah, comfort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, for the animals, that's really the limiting factor. It's not like when Raven had a fight with his dad and he had like stitches. he wasn't able to get to it, so that I was able to treat to make it heal sooner.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good.
yeah, but so yeah, that's just the limiting factor.
Well, I mean, we can do that as well. There's lots of lots of examples of people working against themselves. I work against myself sometimes too when I'm treating myself. I've got this going on, but I'll, even though I know this food is inflammatory, I'll still go eat it because it tastes good or something, and then there's the inflammation again.
Yeah, yeah, I might
Oh,
do that too.
yeah. But I'm thankful for the support when I go do that because
Yeah.
yeah. And then just not do it too much.
I use
You've
it too
used it
for
for
my,
your hair?
yeah, for my alopecia area.
Okay.
I was balding here years ago, but I was with him already that time, so he
It
let
didn't
me use
matter.
that.
He loves me, bald or not.
There's Miley.
She was using the terminal for the hair. I can't remember
Okay.
the name of that terminal.
Yeah, the Meridian. Yeah, and people have you just can use the medical or the healing function for that now, just still scanning,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so is there I mean with either coMra therapy or health or anything else that you feel inspired to share about just to bring to our conversation to completion or
There's a lot of people that are in the same situation, and I am a strong believer that really coMra therapy is kind of essential. They just don't know it and that it exists, and it's not something to decide whether you believe it or you don't believe it. You just need to experience it, and once you experience it, whether you believe it or not, it makes no difference because you have the experience and you know what it can do. And that's kind of how I talk about it when I talk to people about this.
yeah.
Don't waste time arguing in your mind and creating, like, just experience it, then you'll know.
Yeah, and we have so many examples over the years like we're not trying to prove it to anybody anymore either. It's just we
Yeah,
know that it works and we have the
yeah.
experience. So if you want to have your experience with it, that's great.
It's really essential in the type of life that we have. Number one item, it's like not polysporin, it's your laser.
Definitely.
Don't get the polysporin, grab your coMra Pro.
Yeah, when I was growing up, it was always polysporin, or I think there was
Yeah,
one called ozanol as well, maybe for
yeah,
burns or something. But yeah, I
yeah.
don't even have that anymore. It's Miley coming to get her love, joining
Yeah.
in.
She's, she wants to go see Willow and
Oh yeah.
check what the goats have done.
Okay, well, I think that's we'll wrap it up then. I want to thank you both for
Right.
doing this together with me today and
Thank you.
for sharing.
Thank you for inviting you,
Yeah.
inviting us.
So I'll just say, and I know that you have made some videos where you're actually doing the treatments. So I encourage people to follow your channels. This is our Life Off Grid with Philippe and Divine, and with Heart Wide Opened. And also we're going to be sharing some of your stuff on the Healing with Coherence channel. So then people will have an opportunity to see some practical examples and see how it actually works and what you're doing, because it's very simple as well and very simple and to have it in your life and incorporate it. It's just there. So I encourage everybody to follow your channels, our
Thank you.
channels.
Thank you. I like our channels, but who knows, maybe
Yeah.
other people will too.
Yeah, and follow along to see
Yes.
about the what you're doing overall there. It's amazing when you're watching from the beginning to where you're at now.